I think this is not only obviously the biggest fight of Terence Crawford's career, but in a career that's filled with almost nothing but huge fights, this is the biggest fight of Canelo Alvarez's career.
A lot stronger, and I think he's gonna have better endurance. Not being able to boil himself down like that, and even though it is a huge jump, I think we lose sight of the fact of how much he had to boil down and how gaunt he looked at 140.
You said you don't think, or you don't look into the weight difference. Why?
When you know how to box, when you're as skillful as Terence Crawford is, weight don't really matter much.
As the boxing world counts down to the blockbuster clash between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford, Max Kellerman has shared his final thoughts on the matchup. Speaking as part of Netflix's star-studded commentary team for this historic event, Kellerman delivers his trademark insight and historical perspective on what many believe will be one of the most significant fights in recent memory.
A great chin. But in terms of, if you want to go skill for skill, especially the recent version of Canelo, who's had to turn into a seek and destroy guy, who had to learn as his career went on to cut off the ring and not just follow guys around. Like Lara, Trout, Floyd, he followed those guys around. He had trouble because he's really a natural counterpuncher who wants you to come to him. But in recent years at super middleweight, he's gotten really good at cutting off the ring. Again, last fight notwithstanding. So as an overall suite of skills, recent vintage, it's been Crawford. Mm-hmm. But Canelo also is skilled and has a larger skeleton than Crawford. No matter what they weigh, Canelo's the bigger guy.
Yeah. Kellerman hasn't pulled any punches, labeling the Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford fight as the most widely anticipated championship bout in nearly half a century. He draws a comparison to the legendary Muhammad Ali-Leon Spinks rematch of 1978, which drew an incredible 90 million television viewers. According to Kellerman, the fact that this event is airing on Netflix makes it more than just another blockbuster showdown. It represents a major shift in boxing's global reach and business model, with the potential to attract an audience far greater than traditional pay-per-view numbers.
But where would you rank this fight out of your top 3 to 5 of all the boxing fights you've called, you've experienced, you've watched?
In terms of the magnitude of the
magnitude,
fight?
Yeah.
I mean, of the fights that I've called ringside, it might turn out to be number 1. I've done Pacquiao fights, I've done Mayweather fights, I've done Anthony Joshua against Klitschko, those are big fights, but because of Netflix, this will be the most watched fight, championship fight, in almost 50 years. This is going to be because Muhammad Ali fought Leon Spinks in the rematch in 78, and they did 90 million TV sets. 90 million. And since then, what has even come close? The biggest fights have all been on pay-per-view, and they do 2 million buys. Oh my God, 4 million buys, Mayweather Pacquiao. As I keep saying, if 5 people per TV set watch, that's 20 million people. This is gonna do multiples of that. So when you look at it from a commercial point of view, it'll easily be the biggest boxing event I've ever covered.
At a recent press conference, UFC President Dana White revealed that Max Kellerman will return to the broadcast booth as part of Netflix's official commentary team for the highly anticipated Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford clash on September 13th, 2025. A veteran voice in boxing, best known for his work with ESPN and HBO, Kellerman will join John Onik and Hall of Famer Andre Ward to call the action live from Allegiant Stadium. Kellerman's return marks a major comeback to televised boxing, and he expresses excitement at the press event, calling the fight the perfect storm. He emphasized that both Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford belong among the very best pound-for-pound fighters of this generation. While noting that Crawford gets his personal vote as the current number 1, he also acknowledged that Canelo had long been regarded as a top man in the sport. Kellerman pointed out how rare it is for 2 athletes of this caliber to meet in the ring, explaining that throughout boxing history, only about 25 to 30 fighters have ever truly been considered pound-for-pound kings, and now both Canelo and Crawford stand in that exclusive group.
I want to bring up the first member of our broadcast team. He is the best boxing analyst in the sport. Ladies and gentlemen, Max Kellerman.
All right, so I know you guys are excited about this fight, but I don't think you understand what a big deal it is. This is a perfect storm, First of all, Turki Al-Sheikh, we're lucky he happens to be a boxing fan. None of this happens if he doesn't happen to be a boxing fan. It's just none of us are here. Nick Khan, the best in the business. Dana White. Dana White is the greatest combat sports promoter of my lifetime. And it's his first ever boxing promotion. So that's who's behind what you're gonna see. You know who's the best pound for pound fighter in the world? The most recent one. Bud Crawford. Apologies to the monster and Usyk. Bud Crawford has my vote for best pound for pound. Who was the best pound for pound before Bud? Canelo Alvarez, universally recognized that way. But it's not just these two guys, the last two best pound for pound fighters in the world. There haven't been that many. Before Canelo, who do you have? Before Canelo, Floyd or Andre Ward, Floyd Mayweather. Before, you could take the lineage back. There've only been, 25 or 30 fighters who ever lived who you said that's the best pound for pound fighter in the world. These are two of them, the last two. And they're gonna fight in Las Vegas on September 13th. Canelo is 62-2 with 2 draws, 62-2. So was Marvin Hagler when Sugar Ray Leonard moved up to fight him and they produced one of the biggest spectacles in the history of boxing. This fight is a perfect storm. I could not be more excited to be a part of it.
Timothy Bradley Jr. predicts that the opening round of Canelo versus Crawford won't be fireworks, but instead a careful chess match. He believes both men will take a cautious approach early, avoiding unnecessary risks while studying each other's rhythm, timing, and range. Bradley notes that Crawford often starts slow in big fights, patiently setting traps as the round progresses. On the other side, Canelo is known for using the early frames to read his opponent and make adjustments. Bradley's analysis suggests fans should expect a measured first round, one where both fighters gather crucial information before turning up the intensity in the later stages.
Feel his punching power as well. In the beginning, it's all the position balance. Like both guys are trying to get balance and trying to find their rhythm. Understanding their distance to where they can punch and at the same time avoid getting hit. It takes Crawford a little bit more time than I would say Canelo to get right to it. Canelo, although he is a prolific counterpuncher, fantastic counterpuncher, he tends to find his spots a lot quicker. And the indication of that is when, if you look at any of the boxers that Canelo has faced, Trout, even Danny Jacobs, even when he fought against Charlo, you just check out the first round. He usually takes off, just feels the power, cruises, see what these guys know, couple of feints, level changes, just gathering information, right? Crawford does the same and similar things. So I think the first round's going to be a real calm and cautious round by both fighters. But in the second round, Canelo's going to start applying that pressure, man. Pre-engagement with Crawford is a little bit more difficult than a Charlo, okay? And let me explain this. So pre-engagement is the movements before you get into that sweet spot, which is mid-range, to be able to let your hands go, right? Both guys are trying to counter each other's movement. Both guys are looking at each other's, hands, trying to anticipate what they believe is going to come next. During those periods right there, Crawford is one of the best at it, okay? Because he's smart, he's cerebral. Like a fighter to a fighter, we can feel when another fighter is like, oh, he's on my rhythm.
WBC lightweight champion Shakur Stevenson remains firm in his prediction that Bud Crawford will defeat Canelo and possibly even stop him. Stevenson has consistently highlighted Crawford's exceptional skill set, pointing to his speed, high fight IQ, and southpaw stance as clear advantages. He has gone as far as saying Crawford will cook Canelo, suggesting this could turn into a one-sided affair. Stevenson has held his view since as early as 2021 and continues to stand by it, insisting that Crawford's precision and adaptability make him not only a serious threat, but a logical favorite in this high-stakes showdown.
I think Bud gonna cook Canelo. I think he's gonna cook him. I think, Canelo a hell of a fighter, but I think Bud just got all the tools to beat him.
You don't think the weight difference is gonna be too big of an advantage?
I think y'all make that something, in certain fights,
Boxing makes it something, not us.
like if this was like a Benavidez, he's actually a lot bigger than Bud, so that would apply. But I feel like with Canelo, he's physically kind of big, but height-wise, he's kind of small. So I don't think so. No, I think that's possible. I'm not saying that it's going to happen, but I think it's a possibility if Canelo gets to acting out of line and not understanding that Bud could crack too. So
Terence Crawford's unanimous decision victory over Israel Madrimov at 154 pounds did more than secure another belt. It elevated his legacy. By capturing the WBA junior middleweight title in his debut of the division, Crawford became a 4-division world champion, entering one of boxing's most exclusive clubs. Even more impressive, he is now the first male fighter in the 4-belt era to claim undisputed championships in 2 different divisions, super lightweight and welterweight, a testament to his unmatched versatility and sustained dominance. This achievement showcased Crawford's ability to master multiple weight classes while maintaining the same elite standard of excellence. The Madrimov fight wasn't just another addition to his record. It was proof that Crawford could carry his timing, ring IQ, and defensive brilliance into heavier divisions against naturally bigger opponents. Madrimov, known for his size and strength, was systematically neutralized by Crawford's patience, accuracy, and adaptability. In doing so, Crawford demonstrated that his skills aren't bound to a single weight class. They translate seamlessly as he moves up the scale. The victory reassured fans and analysts alike that Crawford is not only capable of competing in higher divisions, but thriving there. It solidified his reputation as one of the most versatile and dangerous fighters in boxing today, regardless of weight.
August of 2024. He spent from 2018 until August of 2024, right? 6 years at 147. Okay. And he's had 8 fights at 147, all knockouts, and 1 fight at 154, which was a unanimous decision over Israel Madrimov. So you can make a case he's actually a welterweight jumping to 168, but he did make a pit stop at 54 and became a champion. So we have to acknowledge that because that goes into his accomplishment bag. That makes him a 4-division champion. So the concern is Terence Crawford jumping up in weight. This is a weight class that Canelo Alvarez has now been in since 2020. He's been at this weight for 5 years when he made his debut against Caleb Smith. But remind you, he fought against Danny Jacobs at 160 in 2019. Then in November 2019, he jumped to 75 and fought Sergey Kovalev, then came back down to 68. So it's doable, right? But with that said, everybody's concerned with the weight and how Terence Crawford puts on the weight. So let's explain it. As you see the new photos that Terence Crawford has leaked, Terence Crawford has lean bulked. Okay, as you see here, Terence Crawford there, right? He has lean bulked. Okay, he put the bulk on in his weight, in his legs, and in his shoulders to be able to take the punch.
Trainer Dave Caldwell has also praised Crawford's distinctive style, pointing to his seamless stance switches and exceptional footwork as game-changing assets. Caldwell argues that Crawford's movement is one of his most overlooked weapons, enabling him to create angles, disrupt opponents, and control the tempo of fight. When facing a relentless pressure fighter like Canelo, Caldwell believes these skills could make the difference. He explains that if Crawford can stay mobile and avoid being pinned against the ropes, he has the ability to outmaneuver Canelo and steadily build a lead on the scorecards.
Crawford, his composure going to be like the moment a punch lands on him from Canelo.
Are you kidding me? Take that question back.
Yeah, why?
Because you're talking about Crawford.
He's the weight classes.
He's the most composed guy. What, you don't think he'll be prepared? You think it'll be a shock to him? No. You think it was, oh my God, I didn't realize what I was getting myself into. That ain't happening with Crawford. He knows exactly what he's getting himself and why. He's the one looking for it. He don't have nobody with a gun behind him saying you got to go do this. He's the one. And look, it's a tremendous challenge because Canelo's a tremendous fighter and bigger and strong, and he can obviously he can punch and he can time you and he can do all the things that have made him so special. There's no doubt about it. But we're forgetting about those things I just talked about with Crawford just because he's smaller. We're forgetting that. He'll come up with a game plan where he won't let the other guy use his size. Do you remember somebody named Manny Pacquiao when he was making his bones, the first time he hit the big stage? You got all these great fighters here. It was with a guy named Oscar De La Hoya, a hell of a fighter. And everyone said, oh, it'd be too small for him. And then I said, I gotta say, I got one right. I said, how about Manny's going to be too fast for him? Oh, I'll tell you guys, how about he's going to be too quick? How about he's going to be like a couple of those mosquitoes and gnats at a barbecue and disrupt the whole damn barbecue? How about that? Well, how about Crawford disrupts the whole damn barbecue?
When it comes to Canelo Alvarez, public opinion often swings to extremes, either downplaying his legacy by criticizing the level of his opponents or praising his accomplishments without question. Critics argue that Canelo has sometimes favored safer matchups or relied on catchweight bouts. In response, Canelo defends his resume by stressing that great fights require two willing participants, pointing out that many of his challengers step into the ring simply aiming to survive.
It's just a fact. Canelo has fought the who's who. Sure, were all of them in their prime? No, but that's not his fault. He moved up in weight to fight some people. He sought out difficult opponents and matchups. You know, the same way we're like, oh, Floyd didn't necessarily fight some of the best names in his resume at the best time in their career. Not his fault. Floyd went up and sought people out. So Canelo's sitting there like, yeah, I don't give a shit. And he's pretty much the only guy that can really say that right.
I feel I'm the best, and that's it. I don't focus on if the people say or put me in the first position, I'm the best. I feel I'm the best. I'm doing because I love boxing.
I call Canelo out because, like I said, he the last great fighter amongst the era that surpassed us. This is my mega fight. This is my moment.
You didn't have much interest in this Crawford fight. You were saying that there wasn't much in it for you, and you pointed out that people will say that he was too small. What changed?
I think he's one of the best fighters for more fun. No, he accomplished a lot of things too. Mexican with the American fighter is always big.
When he fights you at Allegiant Stadium,
Canelo's like, I knew the money was crazy. That's why he's like, yeah, I knew that the Mexican fighter versus the American fighter. Canelo can draw Allegiant Stadium. That's what it is. I mean, yes, there's the element of greatness involved as well. But Canelo knew he was getting a bag for this. Canelo knew that Terence had to do all the difficult stuff. Let's be honest about it. This is why I favor Canelo in the fight.
For Max Kellerman, the upcoming clash with Terence Crawford isn't just another marquee event. It's a defining fight of Canelo Alvarez's career. He acknowledges that Canelo has already built a Hall of Fame resume, conquering multiple divisions along the way. But Kellerman argues that none of those triumphs carry the same weight as facing Crawford, an undefeated master technician who represents the ultimate test of skill and adaptability. In his eyes, the result will either cement Canelo's legacy as untouchable or spark lingering doubts about whether he could overcome the sport's toughest challenge.
One thing about Canelo is he's been in a million big events. And I'm gonna ask him about this just between you and me when he gets here, don't tell him, but has he ever been in a bigger fight than this one? Is this everyone knows this is easily the biggest fight of Terence Crawford's career. But has he ever been in a fight as big as Canelo Alvarez, who's been in a million huge fights? Floyd Mayweather, that was huge and that was Floyd, but he was young then. He was young and he wasn't gonna be in front of, 50 million people worldwide. Because this ain't a pay-per-view. This is available to everybody. I think Triple G, those were big fights, but not like this.
So, what's your perspective on this historic matchup? Could it be the most important fight of this generation? And in your eyes, who has the upper hand, Canelo or Crawford? Share your thoughts in the comments below.